Carter Lee Churchfields. Hi, sailor, new in town, have I got 3 minutes for you, fabulous review.
Aloha! Welcome back to another one of my amateur documentaries. This is dedicated to Reddit documentaries for giving me the motivation to make another one. And it's dedicated to the coronavirus for giving me the time. In this documentary, I'm going to tell you about what it's like for a woman to leave San Francisco to come to Honolulu in World War II and work as a prostitute. And I'm going to show you something that no one has ever asked to see, my matchbook collection. Yeah! Imagine you are a young woman living in San Francisco working as a lady of negotiable affection. A recruiter tells you about the beautiful land of Hawaii, where you can make 10 times what a Navy engineer makes in a year. You audition for the job. You are hired. You then travel by yourself on a Navy ship and arrive in Honolulu, Hawaii. There is a detective waiting for you at the dock. He knows you're a floozy because you're traveling unescorted. He takes you to the Blaisdell Hotel. This is the Blaisdell Hotel. Oh, look, a matchbook in the wild! It just crept up on us. Now, in the Blaisdell Hotel, you would be photographed, fingerprinted, sold a license to be a prostitute, and then read the rules that apply only to prostitutes. The number one most important rule, she may not visit Waikiki Beach. Now, this is Waikiki, this is Chinatown, the red light district, and this here is Diamond Head. Remember that for later. Another rule on the list, she may not ride a bicycle. Thank goodness that the man who wrote the rules had the foresight to prohibit the girls from riding bicycles. We could have lost the war otherwise. Rules were stupid. Nonetheless, after you had the rules read to you, you would go to a brothel and start working immediately. Now, the rest of my video is about the brothels, some of the women who worked in them, and of course, their matchbooks. Let me try to answer the question, why matchbooks? Well, everybody smoked. So businesses advertised on matchbooks. You were not a business if you didn't have your own matchbook. And what's exciting about these is that these images were ordinary and mundane, being on matchbooks, and they made the world that was Chinatown in World War II. It's their very ordinariness that makes them interesting. Like, imagine 90 years from now, somebody collecting pop-up ads from our decade. So the first matchbook I'm going to show you is for the Ritz rooms. And it's beautiful, sunny yellow. Look at that. On the front here is a drawing of Aloha Tower. Aloha Tower was the largest erection in Hawaii when it was built, 1926. It has major staying power, and it's only a few blocks away from the red light district. Another fine establishment in Chinatown is the New Bungalow Boogie House. By the way, brothels weren't called brothels, they were called boogie houses. Today, the New Bungalow is a popsicle shop. Speaking of oral sex, one of the generals found out that blowjobs were on the menu, and he asks the girls, please, do not offer this service. It is a well-known fact that such a deviation from the norm will quickly lead to rampant homosexuality on board the submarines. The men will find they like the sensation and seek it out from other men. I don't think that's how that works, but I've never been in the Navy. I have been told it's not queer once you leave the pier. My New Bungalow matchbook is one of the few matchbooks I have with a woman on front. As you can see, her head and shoulders were practicing social distancing. Seriously, that is weird looking. Now, if I flip the matchbook over, you see a man in a top hat about to be kicked by a donkey. It will not pay you to wait. And now I'm going to slowly scan up for no reason in particular, and oh my God, what is that? Unlike almost every other matchbook I have, this one has something on the other side. There's a cartoon of a couple sitting on a couch, and a cat is walking under the legs of the young woman, and the tail of the cat is going up her skirt, and she's saying, "Oh, Willie, be careful, mother might walk in." Yeah, I don't know what she thinks is going on, because they're like a foot apart from each other on the couch. So my only advice is, Willie, get out now, because little Willie is never going to live up to whatever Cthulhu physics she thinks is going on inside your pants. These two are both for the cottage rooms. The one with the bungalow on it is a more beautiful shade of blue, and somehow it has kept that shade. There's interesting stories about these matchbooks, or about the cottage rooms. Ted Shernan, he wrote an article about his experiences. It's called My Experiences in Honolulu's Red Light District. And he talks about this woman, Bobby, who worked there, and he says he was attracted to her because he's kind of shy and reserved, and she was kind of reserved as well, and he developed feelings for Bobby, but when he left, he didn't say goodbye to her, and this is something that he regrets decades later. Also, something about the cottage rooms. Lauren Bruner's first girlfriend was there. Lauren Bruner was a sailor on the USS Arizona. Now, he's from rural Washington, and like a lot of these young men, kids coming out here, Hawaii was like another planet. So anyway, Bruner is on shore patrol, and the prostitutes in their room, they've got a button they can press. So if a sailor's giving them a hard time, they press the button. And it's not the cops that are called, it's shore patrol. They come, they haul off the drunk sailor. So that was Bruner's job for a while. He made, I think, $20 a month doing that. So he shows up to kick out a drunk sailor that was giving this one lady a hard time. Her name was June. And, June liked the way Bruner hauled the guy off, because they flirted a little bit, and he went back to visit her, and she ended up being his first girlfriend. Yeah. Now let's say June and Lauren wanted to go on a date. That would be difficult. First of all, she would have to keep their relationship secret, because one of the rules is she may not have a steady boyfriend or be seen on the streets with any men. And where would they even go? You see, she may not patronize any bars or better class cafes. She may not attend dances or visit golf courses. And as for travel, she may not ride in the front seat of a taxi cab or with a man in the back seat. So she could be in the back seat by herself or with another woman. Now let's say they went all the way, they fell in love, they want to get married. Well, as a prostitute, she may not marry service personnel. And well, that's Lauren, that's sailors. And then Lauren has his own obstacle. If a sailor wanted to get married, he would need permission from his commanding officer. There was even an expression, if we wanted you boys to have a family, we would have issued you one. Now I get to tell you about a woman who went by the name Jean O'Hara. She grew up in Chicago, makes it out to Honolulu to be a prostitute, and she works in the Rex rooms. Now, she has this unusual mentality that she is a human being and a U.S. citizen on U.S. soil. These silly rules, they don't apply to her. So she goes ahead and starts breaking them. One of the rules, she may not own property or an automobile. Well, she went ahead and she bought herself a house. She bought herself a car. She even tried to break the number one rule, she may not visit Waikiki Beach. She is caught staying in a hotel in Waikiki, and she gets a 4-month jail sentence for that. One night, she's beaten rather severely by a police officer because she was trying to leave the boogie house after curfew, and she gets the most epic revenge. While she's in jail, she types up a 48-page expose on corruption in the Honolulu Police Department. And it is all about how they're helping to run this illegal red light district. Well, a copy of her expose makes it to Washington, D.C., into the hands of congressmen. And it ends up being a contributing factor in the ending of this illegal red light district. Good for her. If you want to read Jean O'Hara's book, you can find it for free online. If you want to own a copy, you can find it on Amazon. And if you want to hear me do a dramatic reading, I've got a video on my channel. Jean O'Hara is often confused with this woman. This is Peggy Corday. She was a burlesque dancer, so don't confuse the two. And Jean O'Hara is the inspiration for this character, Mamie Stover. The Revolt of Mamie Stover was such a smutty, shocking book that Hollywood made a movie out of it. The movie isn't so great, but the book is its own special kind of awful. Everything you need to know is summed up in this paragraph.
A GI could go to Mamie's Boogie House and, for a few seconds at least, he could revel in the biggest, most luscious tits in the world. He could enjoy it to the limit, our whole tit culture. He could have tits in his hands, tits in his ears, tits in his mouth. He could walk away from Mamie surfeited for the moment with tits.
And the rest of the book is like that too. Now I get to tell you about the new Senator Hotel. It is the most famous boogie house in Hawaii because it was in a movie, From Here to Eternity. This movie is fabulous. You should watch it. If you're over 40, you've probably heard of it or at least seen that famous scene where the lovers are on the beach and the waves are crashing over them. I happen to have the only color footage of that famous scene, and I'm showing it to you now. As you see, it looks very different in color. In the movie, the Boogie House has been renamed the New Congress Club, but we all know it was based on the New Senator Hotel. So the matchbooks for the New Senator Hotel go for 4 times the price on eBay as other matchbooks. These go for about $40. And I just so happen to have 3 different versions. So imagine these just lying around the Boogie House, being used and discarded. Very mundane way. One night I laid out all my matchbooks that had beach scenes on them, and they just so happened to make up a pretty tableau. I didn't plan it that way. And I was looking at my new Senator matchbook, and I noticed for the first time, it had Diamond Head in the background. And that is what I find exciting at 1 a.m., 20 days into quarantine. This is my last Boogie House matchbook with a woman on it. As you can see, she is quite lovely. COVID-19 out of 20 at least. And like her, most of the women working in the red light district were white. You can tell she's Irish because of the green background. Women didn't always use their real names, but most of the names used were Irish. So I think it's safe to speculate that by and large, so were the girls. These are my matchbooks for the Anchor Hotel, and it's got these monkeys on it. I've got them in rainbow. We give service. Yeah, I bet you do. No monkey business. So mixed messages. And then we've got this marvelous green one. There's a little heart. It says, have a heart. It says, once tried, always satisfied. And then there's this little speech. You ask for credit. Me no give, you get mad. You ask for credit, me give. You no pay, me get mad. Darn sight better, you get mad. There's a story behind that. So this is my modern hotel matchbook. It's really pretty blue. Somehow it has maintained its color. Remember, these things are 80 years old. Now, it is a parking lot today, but the question is, why is it modern? What makes it modern? My theory is that it had air conditioning, because there's another brothel that literally advertised air conditioning. Here's the bell rooms. and it's got a little Eskimo. This is my other Bellrooms matchbook. It has a man smiling, and it says, "This man patronizes us," and then he's frowning, and it says, "This man wishes he had." It says, "Come in and smile, business is good, give the Bellrooms a ring." So today, the building where the Bellrooms once stood is a senior housing complex. So I like to think those two old men live there today in like an Odd Couple situation. I got two more books for you. Here's the Western Rooms. And they got, a cowboy on a bronco, bucking bronco. So I wonder how far did they go with this theme? Like, if you went into their boogie house, would there be spurs hanging on the wall and so on? One other marvelous boogie house matchbook that I got recently is the Midway Hotel. Now this is very exciting. I bought this, it came in the mail, and on the back is a name, Dolly. So maybe Dolly worked here and wrote her name down for a happy customer so he could remember to ask for her again next time. By now, I'm sure the question burning in your breast is, "Carter, how do I tell if my matchbook is old?" For a good comparison, I'm going to show you matchbooks from Wo Fat Restaurant. It was open for 100 years. I have an old one and I have a newer one. The quickest way is to look at how many digits are in the phone number. Here we have the usual 7 digits, and down here we have 4 digits. Here is a favorite matchbook of mine for the Lahaina Bakery, and as you see, the phone number is 2. That's it. It's just 2. When you're the second business to have a phone line, your number is 2. Now I'm going to flip this over to show you this lovely lady. She is holding an old-fashioned virtual reality headset that would allow her to interact with things that did not exist in the room with her. Another way to compare age is to look at the width of the strike pad. As you see, the newer strike pad is more narrow than the World War II era strike pads, which are nice and wide. After 1973, the strike pads were on the outside as opposed to the inside. But Carter, what if my matchbook doesn't have a phone number or a strike pad? Flip it over and look at the location. If it says Honolulu TH, that TH stands for Territory of Hawaii. So you know it was printed before 1959, when Hawaii became a state. And on the front is the most printed phrase in the English language: close cover before striking. So that was my little matchbook documentary. Thank you so much for watching. These are just my victory matchbooks, but you wouldn't be interested in those. This is the end song, you wanted music. These are the credits and they are short.